In 1885, a single man became the legal owner of 900,000 square miles of land. He did not win it through a war. He did not inherit it through a bloodline. He did not hold it on behalf of a government or a people. It was a landmass 76 times the size of Belgium. It was larger than France, Germany, Spain, and Italy combined. The title deed belonged to him personally. He was not its administrator. He was its proprietor. In the eyes of international law, the soil, the minerals beneath it, and the 20 million people living upon it were categorized as private assets. This was the first and only time in modern history that a recognized sovereign state was owned by a single individual. The world watched it happen. The world signed the documents. The world cheered. How did this pass international law? The problem Leopold had. The year is 1870. King Leopold II sits on the throne of Belgium. Belgium is a young country. It is small. It is neutral. It is, in Leopold's eyes, a tight cage. He is a king with a constitutional problem. The Belgian parliament holds the power. They have no interest in colonies. They see empire as a drain on the treasury. They see it as a risk they cannot afford. Leopold disagrees. He believes a throne without an empire is a chair without legs. But he cannot use the Belgian army. He cannot use Belgian tax dollars. He cannot act as the king of the Belgians. He realizes he must divide his identity. There is Leopold, the constitutional monarch, and there is Leopold, the private investor. He stops looking for a colony to conquer. He starts looking for a market to acquire. He studies the map of the Congo Basin. It is the last great blank space on the European maps of Africa. It is a vacuum of power. Leopold doesn't want to expand Belgium. He wants to bypass it. He begins to build a shadow structure, a corporate entity that looks like a charity, a private company that speaks the language of a church. He does not need a general. He needs a contractor. The explorer as a legal weapon. Enter Henry Morton Stanley. History remembers him as an explorer. In reality, he was a land agent. Leopold hires Stanley for a specific 5-year mission. His job is not to discover, it is to register. Stanley travels up the Congo River with a stack of pre-printed forms. These are legal templates designed in Brussels. He meets with over 450 local chiefs. The process is methodical. A gift is given: cloth, trinkets, gin. In exchange, the chiefs make their mark on a piece of paper. The chiefs believe these are friendship pacts, or trade agreements, or perhaps a ritual of peace. They do not have a concept of private land ownership. They do not have a word for sovereignty transfer. But the paper has the words. The documents state that the chiefs cede all their sovereign rights to the association led by Leopold forever. The documents give Leopold the right to build roads, to tax, and to seize all vacant land. Stanley is efficient. He returns with a suitcase full of signatures. In the African interior, these papers are meaningless. In the law courts of Europe, they are everything. They are the consent of the governed. They are the legal proof of a fair transaction. Leopold now has the deeds. Now he needs the neighbors to recognize them. Inventing a country on paper. Leopold creates a series of front organizations. First, the International African Association. Then, the Committee for Studies of the Upper Congo. Finally, the International Association of the Congo. The names are intentionally vague. They sound like NGOs. They sound like scientific bodies. He hires lobbyists. He hosts lavish dinners. His pitch to the world is a masterpiece of branding. He tells the Americans, "I'm creating a free trade zone, no tariffs, no monopolies." He tells the British, "I am ending the Arab slave trade. I am bringing Christianity." He tells the French, "If my project fails, you have the first right to buy the land." He creates a flag, a gold star on a blue field. He creates a letterhead. There is no administration on the ground. There are no buildings. There is no police force. There is only the association. He is selling a vision of a free state, a place where commerce is open to everyone, and the king is merely a humble protector. He frames his private acquisition as a humanitarian crusade. The world's powers are suspicious of each other. They don't want France to have the Congo. They don't want Britain to have it. Leopold offers a third option. Give it to me. I am a neutral king of a neutral country. I will keep the door open for your merchants. I will do the dirty work of civilizing the interior. The logic is perfect. To prevent a war between empires, they will hand the land to a private citizen. The Berlin Conference scam. November 1884, Berlin. The leaders of the Western world gathered to divide a continent. 14 nations are represented. There are no Africans present. The maps on the table are inaccurate. The borders are drawn with rulers. The primary objective of the Berlin Conference is not to help Africa. It is to avoid a European war over Africa. Leopold is not even there in person. He stays in Brussels manipulating the delegates through telegrams. He plays on their greed and their fear. He promises each nation exactly what they want to hear. By the end of the conference, the International Association of the Congo is recognized as a sovereign power. This is the legal pivot. Recognition usually applies to a state, but the association is not a state. It is a private organization owned by one man. The delegates sign the General Act. They recognize Leopold's Free State as a legitimate government. They do not check his finances. They do not define his oversight. They do not establish a mechanism for accountability. In the eyes of law, recognition equals permission. Permission equals ownership. The Congo Free State is born. It is the only country in the world named after a concept, freedom, that functioned as a private plantation. The most important legal detail. We must be precise about the legal status of this new entity. The Congo Free State was not a Belgian colony. If it were a colony, it would be subject to Belgian laws. The Belgian parliament would have the right to investigate it. The Belgian press would have the right to critique it. But it was not. Leopold was the king of the Belgians, and he was the sovereign of the Congo Free State. These were two different hats worn by the same head. In Brussels, he was a servant of the Constitution. In the Congo, he was the Constitution. There was no parliament, there were no courts of appeal, there was no budget transparency. Every ivory tusk, every pound of rubber, and every human life belonged to the domaine privé, the private domain. Imagine if a modern corporation, one larger than any government, owned a country. If the CEO was also the Chief Justice, if the company's bylaws were the only law, there would be no citizens, only human resources. This was the design. The Congo was a 19th century startup with no board of directors and a total monopoly on force. When property needs to pay. For the first few years, Leopold is failing. The Congo is a money pit. The costs of building a railway and maintaining a private army are draining his fortune. Then, the world changes. The pneumatic tire is invented. The Industrial Revolution develops an insatiable hunger for rubber. The Congo is home to the largest rubber forest on Earth. But the rubber is difficult to extract. It comes from wild vines high in the canopy. It is labor-intensive. Leopold needs a system. He does not have a market because he has no money to pay wages. He has a state. He issues a decree. All vacant land belongs to the state. He defines vacant land as anything not occupied by a house or a farm, essentially the entire forest. Since the state owns the vines, anyone gathering rubber is stealing from the state, unless they gather it for the state as a tax. The force publique is created. This is a private mercenary army. Their job is not to defend borders. Their job is to enforce quotas. The violence that follows is not a byproduct of war. It is an accounting mechanism. If a village fails to meet its rubber quota, it is in debt. The force publique is sent to collect. A bullet is an expense. To prove that a bullet was not wasted on hunting, the mercenaries are required to provide a severed hand for every round fired. The severed hand becomes a currency. The system is not designed to be cruel, it is designed to be profitable. Cruelty is simply the most efficient way to maximize the yield of a private asset when you don't want to pay for labor. The paper trail that broke the lie. The system was built on paper. It was destroyed by paper. Leopold kept the Congo closed. No journalists, no independent observers. But he could not stop the mail. Missionaries began to send letters home. They described the taxation system. They described the empty villages. They began to take photographs. In Liverpool, a ship